9:30, and this is an emergency called meeting of the Board of County Commissioners for Suwannee County. The date is December the 10th, 2015. And before the meeting, we're just going to go ahead and rise and say and do an invocation and pledge, and I'll handle that since I didn't make arrangements with the board before. Dear Lord, we bow our heads before you once again before we deliberate the county's business. We beg of you that your Spirit be upon us during this meeting so that we can make the right decisions for the benefit of our county, for our citizens, and for those in our state. We thank you for all the many rich blessings that you have given us throughout our lives and up to this day, and we look forward to future blessings upon ourselves and upon this county. We pray that you watch over our servicemen, and we pray that you watch over our first responders and those our volunteers doing whatever work they may be doing with no monetary benefit to themselves. We thank you for the right to bow our heads in prayer. We thank you for that, dear Lord. Just so gracious. You're so gracious to us. We ask all these things in your name, Christ Jesus. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We thank everyone for making time to attend. We know that this was hastily called. We did out of respect for the timeline outlined by the Army Corps of Engineers that ends this Friday or tomorrow regarding the comment period for the Sable Trail project. You have before you a letter, and it has been reviewed by our council. There are two corrections that need to be made to that letter. Under U.S. Corporation of Engineers should be U.S. Corps of Engineers, which is spelled C-O-R-P, Corporation. And then in the very first sentence of the letter, formally should be formally instead of formerly. So I apologize for that. I hope that the letter captured the embodiment of what the board wanted. If there are any objections to anything in the letter, or if there's any discussion that we need to have regarding it, we should do so now. And I'll read the letter into the record, I guess, before I give you some time to think about it. It says, this letter is addressed to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Regulatory Division, attention Mark Evans. Post office box is as indicated, which was given to me by him. The reference project number is SAJ-2013-03030. It says, Dear Mr. Evans, the Board of County Commissioners in Suwannee County would like to formally object to any activity that would negatively impact the environment of our state, especially within the borders of our county. We believe the ecology above the ground and karst geology below the ground are sensitive, and any proposed impacts of them must be considered with a great deal of scrutiny. The Southeast Market Pipeline, and more specifically the Sable Trail Transmission Project, are under review by your agency at this time. We respectfully request that you deny entry of this pipeline into our state and our county based on the significant impact concerns expressed by the United States Environmental Protection Agency in its October 26, 2015 letter and attached comments to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission draft environmental impact statement. Contained within the EPA statement and comments are impacts to the Floridan aquifer and sensitive geologic formations, karst, that are unresolvable in any manner short of abandonment. The pristine nature of this area should be left intact. We feel the impact statement by the EPA is a true representation of the facts surrounding this project and are irrefutable. So in closing, we stand by the EPA's interpretation of this matter and respect within our deliberative process any further correspondence from them. Respectfully, Jason Schaff. Is there anything that you would like changed or corrected in this letter?
I'd just like to make a comment, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner?
I guess it's just by nature. My family, we just like to fuss about stuff. And not that we can resolve any issues here. I've never made it I never had any issues with the gas line itself. And I'm going to support the letter. However, reluctantly, I just got to express some concerns. Again, I know we can't solve them here, but it just my business depends very heavily on energy. And over the last 15 years, things have changed such in our economy. It's increasingly difficult. Net margins essentially have not closed, but they have decreased. Net margins have decreased over the last 15 years. Yes, I might be making more money gross, but energy costs, insurance, taxes, all these things that go into play make it increasingly difficult for businesses to run. My only concern in the long run is as we continue, as our government continues to put more and more limitations on energy plants and how we run our businesses, how we run our very homes. Energy is going to cost more and more money, and it's going to get more and more difficult. The gas line, natural gas especially, provides an avenue and an opportunity, I think, for these energy plants to run efficiently and environmentally safe. And again, this is an effort. We've had gas lines that have traversed this county for decades without incident. And I feel like the gas line does not pose a serious issue in that relation. And I think it's necessary in the long run that power plants, especially in South Florida, where demand is immense. Again, that they can't ship coal down there and use it. We don't want nuclear plants running down there. Natural gas is a very viable alternative. And I just can't help but express my concern that, down the road, it's just, as time goes on, it's getting tougher and tougher and tougher for folks to make it. And energy costs are going to be reflective in our homes, businesses, and we're just going to make it harder and harder on ourselves. So I do have concerns. I want to make sure that everything we do through this county is safe, ecologically. But anyway, like I said, I just have some frustration about it. I don't want it to be dangerous. I don't want it to cause any problems for our environment. I don't think it will. I initially started this because of the compressor station and its specific location. I didn't like that, and the board has expressed concern that we just don't want to have the project altogether. And so, I don't want it to be a 4-1, although I don't have a problem with opposition. I just think if the board decides, if it's specific that this is what they want to do, we need to have a unified front, and I understand that. But again, I can't help but share my concerns, and I thank you for your patience and apologize for this lengthy conversation, but I just felt like I wanted to say it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman, I've got one too.
Okay, just one second. Don't apologize for the length of time. We're here to deliberate on this. I hope that there's some lengthy discussion myself, so I will reserve some time as well. So with that, Mr. Sessions.
I've got some comments too, and I echo a lot what Wesley has to say. In the business world, you've got needs. Florida's filling up like a glass of water. The more people come to Florida, I don't know what the stat is now, but it's probably 900 or so a day move to Florida. So we're going to have increasing needs for energy. The power plants need different and diverse ways to fuel them to produce energy as cheap as possible. And I understand those needs. The plants over there in Palatka uses coal. And some people are against coal, but it's a cheap resource, and it's done a good job for many years. And like Wesley said, we probably won't ship coal down to Tampa or wherever down the state, but they've got to have ways to produce energy. On the other hand, there's different routes that can be taken to get this energy to them, or get this gas to those people. I'm the newest portion of the board here, and prior to me coming to the board, there was meetings. There weren't hearings. I was told there were hearings, but there was meetings that were had in this general area about this issue coming up. but never any in Suwannee County. So when I got involved, I felt like there was nothing that had happened here, not knowing what had happened prior in the prior couple of years in other counties around us. So I would like to show a united front with this county board to oppose the pipeline coming through here, especially with our topography and with our geology that we have. I don't see that, I don't know if we can stop anything coming through here, but it's just our word as a board to avoid it. I think there's better ways to go to bring the energy to Florida. We're all going to need it. And I think picking a different route or a different way would be better than bringing it across where it says it's going now, across with Lakuchi to Suwannee and then back across Suwannee again. So I'm just worried about our environment and the type of geology we have underneath us sitting right on top of the Florida aquifer. So I'm not against energy. I'm just against it bringing it through such a delicate situation or delicate part of our state. So that's really about all I have to say about it.
Thank you, Mr. Sessions. Anybody else? I'll go ahead.
I just wanted to address something in the letter. On the second paragraph, it said, we respectfully request that you deny entry of this pipeline into our state or county. My two big concerns have been the river crossing and the compressor station. Not necessarily concerned with the pipeline coming through the county. I don't know that I'm in favor of the letter the way it currently reads, deny it coming through the state or county. I believe there may be better places to cross the river. They've gone across the river in the past, and I feel like we were kind of misled on the compressor station. I think there's better places they could put it with denser or less dense population. So that's on where I wanted to go with it on my concerns on the letter. But as far as pipeline, I haven't been opposed to it from the beginning, and I'm not opposed to it now. It's just if I'm going to support a letter, I'd like to support it more addressing the concerns of the river crossing and the compressor station.
My comments will kind of start in the past, a little historical data. Under pressure during the George W. Bush administration from the environmental movement, we were asked to curb our appetite for fossil fuel. During that election cycle, where Mitt Romney and President Obama were running, T. Boone Pickens came forward as an industry leader and said, okay, you guys want to get off the coal and petroleum, and the bridge fuel is natural gas. That set us on a path toward the industry saying, okay, we'll find it. So they found it. The local governing boards of the states in the Midwest said, yes, we want to produce this and gain the benefit of that. So they did. They allowed that to occur, and it has happened, and natural gas has been produced. Now, today, that natural gas has to get to market. Market is, to get it to market, we either have to send it by train, by truck, or by pipeline. And so it becomes a question of how sensitive is it to transfer the fuel above the ground versus below the ground. The other issue is the carbon footprint based on transporting that gas to market. If we do it by train or truck, the carbon footprint is larger. After the gas is produced, there is information out there to say that the companies will have an overabundance of it. And we're seeing the result of that in lower gas prices. There was a time when we were told by various sources that the price of gas per gallon would not dip below X amount of dollars. Well, now in 41% of the state of Florida, gas has dipped below $2 a gallon. Natural gas is the bridge fuel to sustainable energy. I believe that. I believe that within the area of economic development and economic growth, We must maintain our energy production in this country and in this state. We can't have a situation whereby we shutter our power plants because in 2030, because of legislation or policy that says that in the year 2030, all coal-fired power plants will be shut down. That most of our power in the state of Florida comes from those types of plants. In an effort to fuel them and make the transition to coal to natural gas, where we have a clean, sustainable energy source, this pipeline does that. It brings fuel from the Midwest, where we don't have to endure the production, environmental concerns there, but we get the benefit of it because some other county or some other state has endured that. So that having been said, whenever we put ourselves in a situation where the power plants go offline, we look towards our cousin to the west, another state that's centered around good weather, is California, and the policy that they've made out there. You may recall in the past that they have had rolling brownouts and blackouts over there due to the fact that their population had increased and they could not maintain energy production needs. So whether you believe that 15 years is a long time or a short time, that's the year that has been set for the goal for our power plants to come offline in order to be transitioned over to something else. So either A, we're going to, well, for sure, because the upgrades that have to be made to those plants, if we're going to run on natural gas, those will be bore by us, by the people who consume the energy. And the other side of it is that we shut down our nuclear power plant in Crystal River, further curtailing that. So it becomes an issue of how do we protect the people? That's what it all boils down to. And we're always concerned about costs, and I believe the energy costs will go up if this pipeline doesn't come through. I too object to this letter. I will be voting against the letter. I've worked tirelessly on this over this past several days, talking with the EPA, the Army Corps of Engineers, the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. I've talked to Ted Yoho's office about relocating the line, moving it more towards the east, and I will continue those efforts if need be. But if this board so sees no need for that, then I won't continue. I won't. But I feel like we can do this in a responsible manner after having spoken with the representatives who will permit this project. I believe there's a lot of misinformation going around. As far as the compressor station goes, I too had expressed concerns about the location of it. But the board needs to be aware that the increase in tax revenue to this county will be substantial if that compressor station is located here. Is anybody aware, based on the letter, how much of an increase that would mean for our tax base here?
I was told it's about $2 million.
It's 24%, $2.77 million if that compressor station is located here. We have to provide no land for them. We don't have to provide any tax abatement. We don't have to provide any infrastructure. I've checked with our public safety director. We have 2 pipelines currently running through here, and we are prepared if one of those pipelines ruptured. So we are already prepared for that disaster to occur. So with that being said, after much deliberation, lots of thought, and in my case, my faith based on prayer, I believe that the benefits far outweigh the risk. So you can approve this letter if you want, but I respectfully request that we have either more discussion or that we do not do this. Because, and one other point before I yield, Sable Trail has worked providing information to me, as well as Mrs. Johnson has done a fine job of providing information from the environmental side of things. And I don't want to isolate them apart from trying to work with us and work with the other governmental agencies, because they have said that they would work with us in trying to maneuver this pipe around sensitive areas if need be. But if we isolate them further, then they don't have any reason to work with this board. So I would respectfully request that we deny or not send this letter to the Army Corps of Engineers and let me continue to work.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Wainwright?
in light of the discussion, and I'm somewhat encouraged, that, I'd like to maybe modify the letter a little bit.
Okay.
First paragraph is fine other than the noted correctional form. Second paragraph, second line, beginning of the second sentence, we respectfully request that you require Sable Trail to further evaluate the routing, strike, deny entry of this pipeline, and leave everything just as it is, just strike, deny entry, but insert request that you require Sable Trail to further evaluate the routing.
Okay.
Now, further on down at the second to the last sentence, obviously it's up to them, the Corps of Engineers and FERC, but there is a statement that council is included in here, and that contained within the EPA statement and comments or impacts of the Florida aquifer and sensitive geologic formations that are unresolvable in any short or in any manner short of abandonment. So they've got the call, and I mean they're going to make the call whether to modify it or abandon it. So that's obviously that statement still exists, whether we have any control over that or not. But I would consider the letter, if we modify that statement, if y'all got an improvement on what I've penciled out, I'm okay. Something along those lines.
Well, I'm okay with the change because I was thinking the same thing, that maybe we keep it from coming into the county or change directions in a better way, even possibly going west of us. You know, instead of into a less populated area. I know other counties may not want that either, but like through Taylor and Dixie County over there in that muckland, there's a lot less to make sinkholes underneath those. So I thought maybe westward passage. And I see the need for this pipeline, or I see the reason they want to bring it in overland away from the Gulf, because the other pipelines are near the Gulf and they could be affected by hurricanes. So this particular pipeline would not be affected by hurricanes near as much.
If you run, I don't mean just to comment on what you just said, having some experience with a project in Fayette County, on a piece of property, we had the pipe, when you go through the swamps with those pipelines, they tend to sometimes float up out of the ground. And we had that occur, and they had to come in and rebury and anchor that pipe, further disturbing the environment. So that presents challenges as well. And as you know, whenever we decide we're going to put a road, we try to put it on highlands so that it's less cost to the taxpayer.
Yep.
And so the private sector is going to do the same thing.
Well, I guess to sum up what I was going to get to with changes, I agree with Wesley as far as reevaluating the plan, because after quite a bit of discussion and research since last Tuesday night when I offered this, I found out a lot of information, and there is a need, and I don't know that any other type of source can bring us this much energy after doing research, but I'm okay with changing it to reevaluate the actual direction of the pipeline.
Let me tell you this as well. My discussions with Mark Evans of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the close of the comment period has been extended twice on this project. And the reason it was because nobody can come in on it. So, and they've received about 800 form letters from an online petition from people all over the world, so they're not affected by it. And they received one objection from, I believe it's the Walls Group, a Walls Group, can't remember how it said this. They received an objection, and they received our objection regarding the the compressor station down there. This would be a third. They have said that requests made by governmental bodies past the date, even up to prior to them approaching with construction, would still be listened to and considered. So the hastiness of this is appropriate, and I respect your request. But at the same time, it's not of the essence that we necessarily thought it was. So they're willing to work with us, as the case may be. So again, I feel like that, and after having talked with them regarding the regulatory process on this line, and how many hands touch the applications of these, and the input that they have during construction, I'm still awaiting confirmation on one. I asked many questions. And one of the ones that gave me extreme heartburn was potential blasting with this project. That's not the way things are done here in Florida. It's typically a jack and bore situation. So I'm awaiting confirmation that that will not be occurring, but it is available to the contractor to use if they need it. But it's probably not going to be used. So I have an email. I'm waiting on an email for that. But there's just a lot of questions that you and this board has the opportunity to do that to these people who I spoke with, where you can experience the same level of comfort that this is regulated to the nth degree and scrutinized, and they select the best route for it. So I just encourage the board to do this, and I still stand in opposition to it. And I will say that Commissioner Fleming couldn't be with us today. He had, it couldn't be. He just couldn't make it. So. And he did. And I haven't heard any feedback about his concern. I also feel that the potential economic impact on the county would be significant, barring the fact that we'll be helping the state, and we'd also gain some benefit without having to actually produce gas and drill and all that stuff. We would be doing our part for economic growth in the state, and your concerns are valid. That the population in the state of Florida is going to continue to grow as people retire, and we're going to have to meet those energy needs, or we're going to have to suffer the consequences.
The whole reason I brought this up Tuesday night was I thought that we just had a drop dead deadline of tomorrow. If there's a chance to reword this, and actually get more, become more educated about what we can do, I'm okay with not moving forward with this at this point, and reevaluating and maybe doing a better job at figuring this out.
Well,
and discussing with them.
Right. Well, I'm putting a considerable amount of my time into it to try to do the best thing. And I would agree with that statement. I will continue to work and see what kind of results we can get. I was just simply, when we wanted the letter, I just tried to simply reflect the wishes of the board. But
I appreciate
it's
that.
not my wishes. I encourage you guys to reach out to the EPA. They have a representative in the Army Corps of Engineers office over there, and that's the one that is overseeing this. Mark Evans, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, talked to Florida DEP representative out of South Florida. They're there for you. And they said that on the phone. We're here to answer any questions that you may have to help you in your deliberation. So, with that, I will say another thing too, is in this EPA, this October 26th letter, this is just my opinion, but based on some of the conversation I've had, I fully expect them to issue another, I'm going to say, my opinion is that they're going to issue another statement, walking back a lot of these issues that are in this, that were presented to them in that October 26, 2015 letter. I expect that. That's my opinion, but I feel that's what they're going to do. What are the wishes of the board?
Gentlemen, may I speak? And address your issues?
Well, I mean, it's an emergency meeting. The board either wants to pass a letter or they don't.
Well, I think there's some things you need to know about Santa Claus and the
We know your objections.
You do. Would you want to tell me any of this?
What are the wishes of the board?
You're refusing to let a citizen speak. When they spent 2 years studying this, and has been to an administrative trial, which DEP relied entirely on Sable Trail studies. They did no studies.
I mean, if the board doesn't want to make a motion on the thing, on the letter, then that's the position of the
Can I
board.
just educate you for only one shortly, briefly?
Shortly, briefly.
Thank you very much. I think you know who I am.
You got it.
Please state it for the record.
Okay, Deborah Johnson, P.O. Box 803, Live Oak, Wellborn, Florida. Okay, as far as energy needs for the state, this pipeline, there's no energy going to us. There's a very minimal amount that will be supplied to FPL. The FPL is invested in this pipeline. There's a minimal amount that will be provided to Duke Energy. They are invested in the pipeline. They're invested in Spectrum. Okay, so and they're invested in fracking. Okay. The pipeline will carry 1.1 cubic billion feet of gasoline a day down it. There are, that I know of, at least already set up 3 export stations. There are no tap-offs for anybody in this state. Nobody. Except for FPL and Duke, who are invested and they are fracking. Okay, on Spectra's own website, Gregory Ebel, CEO of Spectra from Canada, who's already pipelined out, states that yes, we'll be exporting this. And the export locations are the Caribbean, South America, and the Bahamas. This is just one of the outlets across the United States that the oil industry wishes to move frac gas. Now, to address Mr. Wainwright's concerns, and very viable concerns about energy, FPL has admitted in their own SEC and what do you call it? K filings, they probably need to read those, that they could do the same thing with solar without using as much land or costing as much money. And there was an alternative not to run this pipeline down the state and not through our county, through our area, and that was Port Dolphin. Port Dolphin was already approved, set to go. It was originally an import station, offshore 28 miles, already permitted, with a 7-mile pipeline to come online. It's at Santa Maria Island. FPL and Sable Trails have killed that project. That station would have been where ships come up, load up, carry the gas. It would have put no one in danger like this. As far as county, the money goes that Sable Trails claims you're going to receive from their presence, I think the costs are going to far outweigh any money that you receive from them. I won't go into the details. I mean, there's so many things that can go wrong, and so many things have gone wrong with Spectra, and they keep going wrong. And I'll say it again, they have the worst history of EPA violations. And they don't play when they violate. They violate with PCBs and dioxins, and those are running through those pipelines that they're connecting to. So if they have a leak or compressor station blowout, we get it. As far as going west of us, you've got wetlands over there. Of course, there's going to be problems there. Natural gas is not the bridge fuel. It was thought to be, but studies have been done. And I know you all have a lot of work to do, but I do these studies. I do read this in my spare time. And it's actually one of the worst greenhouse gases there is. With the leaks and you have the dangers, it ends up being not a clean source of energy. The two pipelines that serve Florida are already adequate, and they truly have a purpose. I mean, they do. They're not exporting. They're not trying to make $1 billion, whatever, billions of dollars for a dying industry. The solar industry would be something this county might consider as an industry to think about bringing in here. It has progressed very far. Georgia is taking off with it. Southern Company out of Georgia, which also covers part of the panhandle here, has taken on solar, and growth is phenomenal. You're talking about jobs and economic benefits. There's where it lies. Not in an industry that's going to come through and take our sole source aquifer and put it at risk. No matter which way you look at it, that's what this pipeline does. It's not a bridge fuel. It's not. Even Sierra Club said at one time, considered it a bridge fuel, and after the studies and after seeing the plume over Colorado and the western United States of methane gas just hanging, because this didn't just happen yesterday. This has been going on since 2005 and moved across the United States. Is there anybody that would like to address any other questions with me about this? I mean, I'm not trying to appear smarter or anything like that. I just study this very hard, and I know people don't have time for that. I mean, I don't have a life. I work and I study. Does anybody have any questions? It is an FBL statement. We could do the same, accomplish the same thing with solar that we could accomplish with this pipeline. But it's easier for them to move that pipeline down to those export stations and back up to Jacksport, where Mr. Pickens has his export station already set up. If you don't watch it, we're going to have pipelines all the way across this county, all over this county, all over the state of Florida. We're not going to have any water. I urge you to please consider passing this very well written letter, passing the you know what I'm saying. Please, I urge you to consider sending this letter to ACE. DEP, I sat in trial and watched the administrator that signed off on the study before. The DEP originally opposed the Sable Trails pipeline. They opposed it entirely. No way should it come through here till somebody got a hold of them. And then I watched the lady from DEP unable to even recognize the document she signed off on. Did not even know that the Sable Trail pipeline in the state of Florida alone will cross the Sonat pipeline, which is existing, and Sonat has some bad heartburn with this, a total of 70 times. She could not locate anything in the document, neither could their so-called expert geologist. I would suggest taking the EPA letter very, very seriously. What they say in it, as far as the pipeline is important, and what they say in it politically is important. It is true. Does anybody have any questions?
I have something I can add.
Yes, ma'am.
I talked to a cousin in West Virginia, and I just found out that we are not the only state that's having this trouble. These gas companies are jumping in on the
Excuse me, ma'am, if you're going to make a comment, would you come up, please, and be identified for the record? If you're going to ask her a question, it'd be different.
May I finish? No, I'll finish.
Okay, thank you.
I don't mean to interrupt, I'm just trying to save time. This Spectra is trying to run up through Canada. We have a tribal issue there, what is it called, nations' rights. There's a tribe of 500 that refused $1 billion from Spectra Energy to run a pipeline. So they've stopped them there. Burrville is fighting it right now. The Northwest is having a problem. Texas, in some parts of Texas, the oil state, they are fighting it. They're passing resolutions. They're getting them shot down, but they're fighting it, and they're trying to stop it. You're talking about a company that has come in and fracked gas, and you're really talking about Halliburton originally, okay? Then you come down the line, and it comes down to Spectra and companies, and I've got information on who all's involved. Sable Trail Transmission LLC is not a company. It has one member on the board, and that would be a Spectra employee. It is a shell company. All of the information and the studies that have been done and were accepted by DEP were done by subcontractors that do this for the oil industry. And they get paid by the company that they do it for. So who do you think they're going to decide, in favor of? Is there anything anybody would like to ask me? I seriously beg you to consider sending this letter.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnson.
You're welcome.
Ma'am, you may come to the podium.
I'm sorry for interrupting. My name is Jean Derricker.
Go ahead and pull that microphone down to your mouth.
Sit down, too short.
Thank you.
My name is Jean Derricker, and I'm from the Live Oak area.
Can you state your address, please?
14627, 139th Loop, Live Oak,
Thank you.
3206. And I'm new in this, as you can tell, but I was shocked I was talking to a cousin in West Virginia. I just called to see how she was. We got into conversation, and she said that the gas companies from Canada are trying to come through the Monongahela Forest in West Virginia, and then they're going to go on to Maryland and find a port in Maryland to export this gas. And it's not for the West Virginia use or anything, but it just seems like the gas companies are jumping on the bandwagon to earn money. And West Virginia, of course, and Ohio, and all the states up north that it's crossing are protesting this too. So I just wanted to iterate that.
Did you want to address the board about your petition as well, ma'am?
Oh, yes. I thought that I would get a petition started, and I asked various stores, and the Save-A-Lot and Burger King were the ones that permitted me to get signatures. And I got about 15 signatures, and I was asking you how many you really need to help this against this line, but I was shocked at the number of people. I had no refusals to sign this petition, by the way, but I was shocked at the number of people that did sign and never even heard about this project or this problem we're working over. They evidently don't get the Suwannee Democrat. They had no idea what was going on. And I don't know if there's a better way to educate the public or not, but I thought I'd try to get more signatures today and see where it leads, if it would help any against this. So, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. All right. Anything further? Anybody else wants to address the board? Hearing none, what are the wishes of the board? Hearing no motion at this time, I don't think we're going to take any action. I think I'll correct in saying that? So the only other thing I need is
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn by Commissioner Gamble. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wainwright. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you, Chief, for coming.
Apologize for this guy. I'll bring it up.
Thank you.
Got the permitted to just make an announcement on a whole unrelated subject.
Yeah, we're done here, so if you can commandeer the attention of these people, then that's your right.
We got it.
I have an authorized, advertised opening of an RFP right now. So if we can hold that, this is advertised to be open at 10 o'clock, and I